Okay, we're rolling. So hello and welcome to our episode number 5 on everything to do with marketing your business and advertising your business online. Today I've got with me Alan Chapman, our number 1 Google expert in Australia. Amazing guy, he's been on the show before. We've been using Alan for many years, very good friend of mine. And today's episode on Google, of course, the most powerful, most profitable, and one of the biggest organizations in the world. Alan, how you doing?
Yeah, good to be here.
Excellent. Today's episode is really exciting because we're talking about some stuff that I really need to know about, and you will find extremely useful and a lot of stuff that I had no idea about myself. We're going to discuss remarketing and what is Google remarketing, and we're going to talk about as well Google traps.
Yep.
That cost you a lot of money, as well as Adwords Express. What is Adwords Express? I don't even know what Adwords Express is, but let's start with remarketing. What is remarketing?
Remarketing, in very simply, it's once you visit a website, we follow you around and advertise to you no matter which other website you go to, even into Facebook. So if you come to my website via, no matter which way you get there, via AdWords or via organic, or if someone recommends it, we then insert a little bit of code onto your browser. So then you go off and look on another website, Gumtree or something, and we are going to re-advertise our products to you. Why we do this and why it works so well is because one of the key influences and key persuasion factors is repetition. And we've known this for years. If you just see one ad, you might not take a lot of notice of it. But if you see that ad 7 times, you're starting to think that they're actually a more serious company, they actually know what they're doing, and you're more likely to engage with them. So by repeating, putting the message in front of them, you are actually increasing the influence on that person to take action. We drive it back to your website, and then we get higher conversion rates. They're also quite cheap to do because you're still paying per click, but you're only paying for people who are already interested in your product or service.
That's excellent.
So it is quite effective. It takes a little bit to set up, but once it's set up, it's quite an effective way to advertise people.
Brilliant. Stalking online, I'm sure everyone that's watching this and listening to these podcasts understands, because there would have
happened to you.
It would have happened to you 100%.
You wouldn't have known it until you've been to look at a pair of shoes, and then suddenly there's all these ads for shoes all over the place.
Yeah.
And you go, oh.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of people now that actually know about that because it's been used and over and over and over, and that's a very successful way to market your business, of course. Okay, so what do you think is the best way to set that up for a new business?
Well, it's good. You need to have an AdWords, full AdWords account, and you need to get a thing called a banner set put together. Now, banner set is all the ads with one message, but in 16 different sizes. Now, you have to find the sizes online because they change regularly, which ones are the most successful. So you just Google up the sizes, it's all there, and you get the ads put together the size you want with the message you want. The message has got to be short, it's got to be clear. It's better to have a moving element within the banner set. You get a 30% increase in click-throughs just by having a flashing button or something. If you can put humor in it, you're going to get a much bigger click-through as well and bigger conversion rate.
Better engagement, more animation. It's got to jump out at you, of course. And we highly recommend, obviously, to use like a graphic designer to
put
do
your banner set together.
Yeah, because it's all about impact at the end of the day.
Yeah, you need to attract attention.
Yeah,
and a bit of movement makes a huge difference.
And you need to evaluate that process over and over and over and see, because some images that you might think are going to be engaging and get you a lot of traction, and they're really not. How many times we've done that, right?
Yeah,
I thought, oh wow, that's a crazy image. That's just going to go insane, and no one likes it. And the stuff that people like is some of the stuff that we thought, oh, this is crap. No one's going to like that. It
happens all the time. You guess the market, and you can't test and measure. And measure everything.
Yeah, this is where I really learned not to be emotionally attached to anything else. The stuff that I like, some of it happens to be very rarely anyone else likes. We all have different tastes and whatever. So you really got to understand the market, and you got to test everything and evaluate everything.
Yeah, we can put some very advanced tracking code on sites now that tools we never had 6 months or a year ago. So we can track far more precisely now than we ever could. which is fantastic. Having these tools it changes everything. It really does.
So remarketing, Google remarketing is a must. If you're not in that space already and you're not doing very strong remarketing,
it's cheap. It's one of the cheapest ways you can get sales and conversions online.
Of course, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, so now that's the most interesting thing for me here, and I really want to know, so what is all these Google traps that you were talking to me about, all right? And how does Google trap you into taking your money?
Well,
they're really good at it too.
They are a massive company. They make huge amounts of profits. They make almost all of that by selling advertising. So there's reasons why they make it. I mean, they are the platform of choice. There's no doubt about that. But they've taken it up to a whole nother level in many other ways to massively increase their profits. So when you're dealing with Google, you have to understand who they are to start with. And they are a business, and they are a very profitable business. They
do lots of to make things. Money, just like every business should be, really.
And they have KPIs to meet, and they do extremely well. They're very good at it. You can't necessarily believe everything they say, but it's in your best interests. And this is where most people fall down if they don't have a lot of experience dealing with them.
Okay, so let's just break this down a little bit. I mean, we're not saying here anything that you do anything really unethical, but we're saying that everyone that's going to start playing around with Google AdWords and Google accounts and analytics, stuff like that, and spending money on Google, we highly recommend that to make Google your strong partner in business, right? Yeah. But you should really know what you're talking about, or go to an expert who knows what they're talking about. Otherwise, you could be losing and wasting a lot of money, and that happens from small to medium and large companies. We've seen it plenty of times. Yeah,
there's nothing easier than losing money on AdWords. It's the easiest thing in the world to do.
Yeah.
Now, in Google's defense, it is nowadays very complex. And to get it to work, it is complex. So if somebody approaches Google with little or no knowledge, they can't possibly explain it all to them, because it takes years to learn it inside out. So they take them through the dummies guide.
Crash course. Yeah. How to set up an ad.
Take the auto settings. Auto. What that effectively does, though, it lets Google bid on your behalf. So you've got the person selling the product, and they are bidding on your behalf. So they're telling you how much you're going to pay for the product they're selling. They hold all the aces. And in agencies, we never run on auto. We run everything on manual. Because as soon as you give the seller the right to set the price the buyer's going to pay, you're going to pay more. There's no way it can go any other way. You're only going to pay more and more.
Of course. So look, it's just like, I mean, there is obviously within reason. But if someone come to us, for Google AdWords or whatever, and say, well, we don't have a budget, you do whatever you want.
Yeah.
We're not going to take it easy.
Well, yeah, it's the same as if you're selling a house at an auction, and the auctioneer is selling the house, and he's got 10 people interested in buying it.
Yeah.
And all those 10 people have given the auctioneer the right to set the price that they'll pay. All 10 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So the auctioneer is going to get the highest price he can. That's his job.
Yeah,
but he can set the price that all these people are going to pay. So he can just keep increasing it exponentially until they reach the maximum they're prepared to pay for the house. So great for the person owning the house, like Google's the house.
Mm-hmm.
Not so great for the people buying, because they're going to reach their absolute maximum they are prepared to spend for that house.
Okay, so Google Ad Express.
Google AdWords Express. AdWords Express is Google Ads for Dummies. Right. So there's two versions of AdWords. There's a full version of Google Ads, as it's now called, and then there's AdWords Express.
Okay, what's the cons and pros? What are the cons and pros when when you're using Google AdWords Express?
Well, the full version of AdWords you don't want to be using unless you know what you're doing, because it is complicated, and there's even more traps in there. AdWords Express is a very simplified version, so you don't get any tracking code, because it's quite hard to install that. You get all automated settings. You can get automated ad writing for you as well now. It's a very simplified version of it, and it works to a degree if it's not very competitive space that you're in. But if you're in a reasonably competitive space and you are using AdWords Express and you're going to get an agency that's using full AdWords and know what they're doing, you have zero chance of winning, because you have got a very basic setup.
Absolutely zero chance of winning. I totally agree with you there, because how many times have I even tried to have a look at the back end of Google accounts, and it's just like it just I don't even know what I'm looking at, and what's this and it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So that's how you can lose a lot of money.
Very easy and
just
quickly.
go to an expert. That's why I always come to you for everything that we need to do. You gotta be really good at what you do and stick to it, and that's it. Don't try to do everything, right?
Definitely no. It's too complex. You've got to go really deep into this and spend hundreds and hundreds of hours to really understand where Google's coming from with these things. One of the auto bidding is definitely it's quite good for people who don't know what they're doing, and it's great. But you're going to cost you probably 3 times more than it would cost.
Of course,
that's for a good agency running it manually.
Wasting a lot of money.
You'll just waste a lot of money, and you won't get the return. And even if you won't even know what it is, because you're not tracking it, because you haven't got the tracking codes in. So there's a lot of restrictions.
The flip side to that, Alan, is that I'm sure everybody that's in business can relate to this. You've gone in, especially in the early days, all right. And a few years back, everyone was a social media expert. Everyone was a Google AdWords expert. There was just you have a look at a couple of tutorials, you see some videos or whatever, and all of a sudden you're an expert.
Yep.
There was nothing actually. There is no commercially available qualifications to, say anybody is an expert at anything. So, we had all these people knocking on our doors for small business saying, listen, we can do your AdWords for you, we can do your social media, we can do it, we'll make it work, and you spend money and you're getting nowhere.
Yeah.
And that's still happening today.
Oh yeah, very much so. The only qualification there is being called a Google partner. We're a Google partner, but it's not that hard to become a Google partner.
There is not much weight to that, right?
No, it's quite. You have to pass a couple of exams, but they're 2-hour exams. We do them in half an hour. It's but we've done them a lot of times. But that's all there is. Otherwise, exactly as you said, people are just saying, "Oh, well, I know a little bit. I watched a couple of videos," but they really do not understand the subtleties of it. They take the automatic settings because it's easy, and you end up paying 3 times what you should.
Yeah, how many times we've taken accounts over?
Oh yeah.
And after you get in there and you do what you do, and you have a look and you find out that these people have been wasting enormous amount of money.
Yeah.
That's just not.
Every week, 2 or 3 a week, we come across.
It's crazy. Right?
Yeah,
it's crazy. All right, excellent. So, what other traps that we can talk about? There is quite a few.
Well, another good
from
one.
What you said. So, what's
another good one that we see this a lot, and we see agencies fall into this as well, is the keyword dilution. So, if you've got a problem with your set up an AdWords account, you've gone to Google to ask their help. Google will always tell you to add more keywords. Now, adding more keywords, it might sound like a good idea, and it will generate more clicks. But every time you add keywords that are further away from your core business, you dilute the power of your campaign. It becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. The more keywords you add, the weaker it gets.
Of course, it's insane how many keywords that we've seen some businesses have.
Thousands.
That's total insanity, right?
It is complete insanity, but this is what Google will advise you, because you get more clicks, but clicks don't make
you make more money
conversions.
Of course, yeah.
And most campaigns that we pick up that have been done by agencies, if anyone's done it themselves, they've always got hundreds and if not thousands of keywords in there, and they're just making no money, or they're losing all their money because they're wasting it on keywords that are not relevant to them. And relevance is incredibly important. And we've worked on campaigns where we've taken 1,000 keywords down to 12 or 24, but their conversions has gone through the roof. Because
from
now,
hundreds and thousands of keywords, you've reduced the number down to 12 or 15 keywords, and their conversion.
I did this with a company. I picked it up. They had 5,500 keywords, and this was another supposed agency running it.
How can they even find 5,500 keywords for any business these days?
It was insane. We brought it down to 4.
Okay.
And this is a home tutor company. They do home tutors, very simple. So everyone is looking for home tutors.
I mean, this sounds totally insane, right, to me and anyone that's listening or watching. Okay, excellent. Well, is there anything else that you want to add, Alan? Because we're just going to wrap it up here.
Just there is a lot of ways you can do Google very effectively and very efficiently. And why people use agencies or good agencies is because we always save them way more than we cost. Way, way, way more, exponentially more. But they don't realize it till we get started.
Absolutely.
So,
that's the key. That's the trick.
That's why we're in business.
Excellent. Thanks, Alan. Always good to have you. And
pleasure to be here.
We're done for this episode, and keep an eye out for our next episode on Google. Bye for now.